Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode, we will be talking about the psychological thriller film Trap, written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan and released August 2nd, 2024.
Yes, we will.
That's right. We decided to strap up our boots and jump back into something M. Night Shyamalan directed. I don't think we've done a lot of Shyamalan other than The Happening back
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So we decided to jump back into to see what he's been working on
And I admit this was my choice. I watched it earlier in the week and said, "Hey, we should do this movie."
it's one that I've been if I get around to watching it, I'm curious enough about it. So that's usually how it works, is the podcast is always a good excuse to watch something that I haven't, so.
Yes. And I will apologize off the top. I'm getting over a cold, so I have a bit of a nasally voice right now. So, yeah. Sorry. Not sorry. I wanted a podcast, so I am. It is what it is. Let's start off with some production notes. Was filmed in Hamilton, Mississauga, and Toronto, Ontario, all places that I've been. It's the 16th film directed by M. Night Shyamalan. His daughter, Salika, who is a singer and actress, played the role of Lady Raven. She composed and sang all 14 tracks on the movie's soundtrack. And he wrote the script while his daughter was writing the music. They really wanted to get to work on a project together, and this is what they came up with. The budget was $30 million. It grossed $81.6 million. 102 minutes long. Pake, I don't know if I even dare to say this, but bring on a synopsis.
All right, in this fun family comedy, a father and his teen daughter attend a pop concert, but things get just a little bit wacky. Aw, geez.
Yeah. The minute I saw that synopsis in our document, I knew that I had made a terrible mistake.
No, I looked at it's kind of loosely based on the IMDb one. I didn't like the IMDb one because it was like they go to a concert and realize they're part of a dark, sinister plot. And I was like, no, not really. The plot's not dark and sinister. He is, but it's kind of just a normal, average, everyday, fake but real concert sting operation plot. You know, you see those all the time. Totally normal thing to happen.
Yeah, in the movies, Pake. Not in real life.
Mm-hmm. Somebody who has attended many stadium concerts, and even just recently, you know the kind of planning and prep and logistics and finances and technical things that go behind. That is the most elaborate and ridiculous. Of course, I don't think that the concert itself was all a ploy. It's weird because it's like when he's talking to Jamie, I'm getting into it a little bit, but I'm defending myself. I'm defending the movie from things I would or could say about it later. I'm on the side of it, as I think that the dialogue was terrible for a lot of it, but mainly having this moment where Jamie, this merch guy, is like, the whole thing is a setup operation, and so that's in the trailer, and so you're like, that's way too elaborate and stupid. But then you realize it's like, no, it wasn't. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It was a weird written line in the movie that's actually not true at all, because they bought, we learned Cooper bought tickets in advance. It was just a concert that they were going to, that then the FBI and the SWAT team and stuff turned into an operation, but the concert was happening already in the beginning. It's not like the concert was set up just for this like reason. So that was misleading, because I was like, if that was the case, then that's incredibly stupid. But no, it was already a concert existing that then they just decided to put a whole bunch of people into the line of danger for.
Kind of. Maybe.
Just smarter? Question mark? I don't know. But then also, because it was the first show of 2 of the day, because the show, it's still daylight when it ends, and like it was an afternoon. There was like a girl that was walking by. It was like a little thrown in dialogue that I happened to catch. That's like probably some people missed it. It was like, I think it's great that they're doing an afternoon show because the original show sold out so fast. And so it's like, okay. So she's doing 2 sets back to back in the same day. Again, logistics, resetting pyro and stage effects, and just the actual on the performer. That's asking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That is asking so much.
It is. It is. Imagine taking and putting a movie together that is a concert and a movie at the same time, and making it all work, because it isn't like they showed a little bit of the concert and then we never really saw it again. That was going on throughout the entire movie. Well, until near the end. It was going on throughout the whole thing.
The first half of the movie.
Yeah. It was all choreographed as a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Dancers and singing and everything.
Yeah. The concert with the most breaks between songs I think I've ever seen in my life. How many breaks has Lady Raven taken? Because, you know, Riley's running back out to her dad, and like, he goes out to the concourse, and there's people walking around everywhere between. Like, is she just like, all right, I did that song. See you in 10 minutes for the next one. Go. Like, what? So many breaks in a set. I
don't know, but if she's doing 2 shows in a day, cut her some slack. She might need it.
We're gonna pace this one out a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know where we got off to. I don't even know what led to that.
You started it. That's how we got off to it.
Probably. Oh yeah, this was the synopsis is what got us there, because I decided to be goofy and stupid with the synopsis, because the one that I didn't like, the one that I would have gone with the IMDb, because again it was like dark, sinister plot, and I was like, no, it was just a poorly executed plot by the authorities. But there's nothing sinister about the concert.
No.
It's not that I know of.
The concert wasn't sinister in the least bit.
No.
We had a sadist running around. I mean, a loving father. I mean, he loved his daughter, you could tell. Like, he was so excited to have this time with her.
Yeah.
But he's not a very good person.
Just a little mischievous, you might say.
Mischievous.
He's just a little stinker, you know?
You know, honestly, it was kind of like a grown-up, more intelligent Norman Bates.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, because of the mother tie-in.
Yeah.
At least that's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah, no, it makes sense.
I'm sure you have a lot of other things you thought, though.
Oh, maybe.
I'm in trouble. I wish I had never suggested this movie now. Because now I feel like any movie Josh Hartnett is in, you're going to do this.
I didn't even think about that connection of Josh Hartnett versus, because yeah, I know what you're alluding to with that one, because that's become a running joke. See, I just thought it was like, oh no, it's the Shyamalan curse, but with like The Happening. But no, I didn't even think about Josh Hartnett being a common denominator.
Yes, he is.
Which is weird, because like I don't have anything against him. I think he's actually a good actor.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I think he found the fountain of youth, I will tell you that. He's in his mid-40s, and his skin looks like the skin of a 30-year-old. I'd like to know what he's doing.
Right. But of course, Mark Wahlberg is kind of a good actor, too, sometimes. And go back to the happening, I don't know what that was. So, maybe there still is the Shyamalan curse in some aspects.
I thought you might like this one because it had music involved.
Oh, I liked that part a lot. Like, a lot of the concert stuff was really cool. Like, seeing, because I talked to you a little bit about that, like, seeing Riley getting so excited, like, whenever this concert first started, and seeing her, like I got, like, not, like, super, like, emotional, but I was like, I get that. Like, because I love those, like, concerts and stuff. I think I told you, because I went and saw 21 Pilots recently, and I think I told you, like, they started, and I happened to glance over. I was on the floor, kind of like they were, but standing, not seats, in the pit. But then you could see, like, the people in, like, the, like, bleacher seating, arena seating to the side, and I was kind of closer to that, so I could glance over, and I saw a little family sitting there, and this little boy that was in that group, who's probably, like, 10, 11 years old, and 21 Pilots started their, like, first song of the set, and he immediately just burst into tears. And, like, you could just see he was so emotional, and his parents were, like, consoling him a little bit, but then you could tell they're, like, he was like, no, I'm happy. Like, it's just, like, overwhelmed, not sure what to do. He was like, we're in that moment. And I started to get a little teary just looking at this kid. And I was like, because I get it. I've been there. Like, it's like, I understand, like, the power that music has in this community of, like, a concert. And, like, I don't know, Lady Raven doesn't seem like she would be super my cup of tea. Some of it was pretty good. Some of the music, I've listened to some of the soundtrack and stuff. I don't know if I would be, like, super into, like, a whole concert as much as some of those, but, like, I get fans are fans of music.
Yeah.
To where it's like, when it's something that I really emotionally connect to, I totally get those kind of, I understand those vibes and that community thing. And she seemed like a great show, the stage production and a lot of the sets and changes and lighting, and, like, had, like, the really cool designs on stage, and, like, having those moments between songs where she's talking about her personal life and bringing things into it and making it was like, they did nail the epitome of a really good stadium concert that can, like, emotionally pull you in. I think that part of it was really good.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you liked that part.
Yeah.
When she was working on this, she went back to her own memories of seeing Beyonce when she was a kid. Mm-hmm. And how she felt like Riley watching Beyonce, like, and knowing all the words to the songs, and how it felt to be in that presence and that atmosphere and the excitement and how you feel. So she kind of drew on that when she was, thinking about her character, and also about the music that goes into the concert.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat.
I will say, from experience, I will highly recommend taking a person you love named Riley to a concert. It can be very fun. It is a good time. I do highly recommend it.
Yeah. I had a feeling you might say that. Where do we go from here? Because I'm almost terrified to even go down any road.
Well, I guess we just go down the road together, the way we usually do, breaking down character stuff, and we'll start with what's most all of the notes. It's all Cooper, but...
Well, because he is the main character, but he's also the threat. Mm-hmm. At the same time, very seldom do we have an antagonist who's also the protagonist. Yeah. But that's what we have in this case.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Very interesting, unique take there. But yeah, so let's rip the Band-Aid off now. No, you will see it's going to start in a place you don't like, and then it's going to stay there for a while. But no, by the end of the movie, there's a switch, there's a shift where I don't have to complain as much, but I will off the get-go say the concert aspect, like I said, was cool, but, like, almost every scene with Cooper out and around the concourses and talking... It was painfully bad to me. Like, it hurt. Legitimately hurt.
Let me guess. It got better for you when they got to his house and his wife showed up, because it's Alison Pill.
Kim Pine!
Oh my God. Yeah. I actually have in my notes. Uh-huh. To bring her up right away so you could get it out.
Just go ahead and,
let it out.
That was the saving grace of this movie, was Alison Phil. My forever Kim. Yeah.
Yep. I did not realize she was in this movie until that point. And then I realized, oh boy, we're going to have another Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
Anytime a Scott Pilgrim face pops up in a movie, you know it's going to be joy for me. So there's that.
So I need to find movies that either... Well, I have to find movies that don't have any of them in it. And it's very hard.
Why would you want to avoid joy for me?
Because, I don't know. Because you're going to be shredding things...
But I love whenever any of them pop up in anything. Like, I'll say, because by the time this is released, we're going to be weeks into it, and people are going to be like, yeah, no, that's old news. But for me, it's fresh and brand new right now. Agatha All Along. Again, because I don't watch trailers, so I avoid all the things because I want it as fresh as possible. So Aubrey Plaza and her witchy amazingness just appearing in that first episode... Pure joy. Pure. Just, I was like, because it was a surprise to me and it made me very, very happy.
I do love Aubrey Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
She's pretty amazing. Having finished Parks and Rec ages ago, she was really the best part of that series for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved April. She just, it was joy.
So, surprise Scott Pilgrim cast always makes me happy. But anyway, back to this. I'll talk about plenty of stuff, I'm sure, as we go. But yeah, we talked about a lot of it. Cooper, he takes his daughter Riley to this concert because she's a huge Lady Raven fan. And I was trying to figure out at first because it was like, is it like a weird home situation and like they're separated? And so he's like just trying to like take some special opportunity to spend with his daughter. And it's like, no, that's not it. He's just, because like, he plays the whole first half of this movie so weird, so awkwardly that I was like, he's making up for something. He's doing, like, it's like some things, he's just so weird. And there's points where she's like, you're acting strange. I was like, that's one way to put it. I would say possessed. Acting like he's never interacted with human beings before in his life. I don't know.
The biggest crazy thing that stood out to me was when he was trying to get her to go down below the stairs, because these stairs popped up and then it left this big opening underneath the stairs, and he's trying to get her to go down there, and she's just like not understanding what on earth he's talking about.
Like and then like over the radio, because like he's going to be calm and collected, he's not going to panic, and I'm like, I don't know, he's acting like an insane person. Like, I don't know what you think you're expecting. Like, he just, or like his whole conversation with Jamie, the merch guy, where he's like, hey, what's going on here? It's like, anything weird happened? I was like, what is this conversation? Like, his faces he's making, and it's like close. I was like, with all the police trucks and the cameras, is something happening? I was like, what a weird delivery of lines. Like, Josh Hartnett is channeling his best/worst Wahlberg in this. I'm like, and that's why I was like, is it the Shyamalan thing? Just does M. Night Shyamalan like, all right, and in this scene, I want you to act very unnatural. You know, I want it to make it seem like you're acting badly. That's what we're gonna do in this.
Wow. I kind of have to agree with you on some of those.
Yeah. Like all of his interactions with Jodie's mom in the concourse. Her acting too. Was that a scalper? I was like, what the fuck is this dialogue?
Is it the dialogue or is it the delivery?
Both. Absolutely both. The line delivery was painful. Like there was a point where I was like, I have to, like, because I have notes, like line delivery is painful. Exposition is the chunkiest, clunkiest I've ever. There's like, maybe something will turn it around. Like, this movie, at that point, I was like, this is bad. And I was like, can the Shyamalan twist end up being that this somehow ends up being a good movie and the weird dialogue makes sense? And then a slogfest of dialogue. Cooper gets special security clearance password and Jamie's badge. There's a point where I said, no more notes about terrible dialogue and delivery because I don't want to take the kind of time needed to address them all anymore. I had to stop myself because it was too much. But yeah, like the one you pointed, I wrote down wrote down the exact words, the dialogue. Look at the stage where that guy came out. Wonder what's down there. Hey, we should climb down and see where it leads. It looks really cool. It's like, oh my god. I paused as soon as he delivered it. Looks really cool. And she's like, what? I paused the movie and I was like, that was legitimately painful. I was like, the true instinct to turn the movie off to avoid further damage to myself was so strong. Like, never.
It's not allowed, Pake. You have to finish
I know,
it.
because it was a podcast. Because I was like, never have I been more tempted by a single line of dialogue to just pull the plug and get out while I still can. Like,
you can't, because I picked it. And so you had to watch it.
I don't think I've been internally damaged by a single line of dialogue more in my life. That was rough.
What about when he was on the roof?
Yeah, all of his interactions with anybody was just so weird. I'm like, wait, and he's supposed to be... It's like, he's the most inconspicuous person I've ever seen. I was like, and they can't find out that he's the butcher? They've been trying to find him for 7 years? Be in a room with him for 10 minutes and you've got him made, because he's the least inconspicuous person I've seen ever. Wait, are you the butcher? What? No, I'm waiting for that. You know?
No, that did not come up. No one asked him if he was the butcher.
Yeah, because if they would have, Ollie would have been like, what are you talking about? Let's go over there. That looks really cool.
He did a really good job in his killer life. He had a mantra to keep everything separate. And maybe that part of his life, even though it's insane, or it's crazy to think of him as a killer, maybe that's where he was actually sane as a killer. I mean, maybe that's where he kept...
If he talked to his victims the same way he talked to anybody else, normal interaction in this movie, I'd be terrified if that was them.
Well, his daughter thought he was weird.
Yeah.
It's like... He pushes a girl down the stairs at one point for, I don't even really know what that was about.
Yeah. He was like, this will cause a distraction for 2 seconds. And then they stand around and stare. It's like, well, any time that distraction would have benefited you is past at this point. So now you're just standing there with more police around you now. So it was an interesting choice, I guess.
They seem to make this play for the profiler, Grant, not to see him at all. Like, he was always moving in a direction so she couldn't actually see him. Like, when he's backstage and he picks up the girl who was going to pass out and goes into a back room because he didn't want Grant to see him.
Well, yeah, because anybody who's remotely educated in how to spot a serial killer within 10 seconds of talking to him would be like, oh, you're definitely...
He seemed to be legitimately, like, not scared, but worried when it came to her. Like, he didn't want her to see him or talk to him. So he was always trying to avoid her. And I've seen so many things like this because I used to watch Criminal Minds. And so at the end, when Grant was explaining to Rachel, she was basically, quote, giving the profile to Rachel of what this killer is like who it is. And it's like, yeah, okay. Because a lot of them do things like that. Like, there are signature things that they do.
Yeah. But also she was like, he seems perfectly balanced and normal, and you'd never know. And it's like, well, that doesn't describe this guy at all.
Well, you have to remember, he was in a situation where I think at first, when he first got there, he was kind of like, oh, there are all these cops around. Huh. And then I think he got a little enamored that he was getting the attention. It's like, oh, well, you know, I'm the butcher. I'm getting the attention. And then even when he's talking to, I was just going to call her Salika, even when he's talking to Lady Raven and he's like, I'm the one you're looking for. Yeah. You're all here for me. Which made me think, well, he's got an ego, I guess.
Yeah. You know, that makes sense. That psychopathic kind of like, even when you're not, you think you're like 3 steps ahead of everybody else and you're smarter than everyone else in the room no matter what. He definitely carried that for sure. Yeah.
I did like that she didn't back down from him. She kind of was like, all right, I'm going to go to your house. I'm going to have dinner with your family.
I don't know what any of that was about. Like, what is her play? Like, it worked out and she ended up being like a heroic character, but also it's like, you're an insane person. And there's other things that I've thought, but I'll get to that when we talk about her.
I liked it. I know that you didn't. I know you're going to shred it all, but I liked that she didn't back down.
Mm-hmm.
And she found a way to help the guy. I mean, she was invested at that point. Which is more than I can say for you, because you were not invested.
No, not. It got better at a point. It was literally the scene that I finally felt tension and was like, I actually care about what's going to happen next, is literally when she took his phone and locked herself in the bathroom. It was from that point on that I was like, okay, I actually care now. But the entire first half of the movie, the concert, I was like, yikes. What is this?
Well, I mean, it was a giant game of cat and mouse. And Grant, even just as Cooper was going to pull the fire alarm to create the chaos, and Grant's on the walkie-talkie talking about he's going to want to create chaos. He's going to pull the fire alarm. He may do something to create a big chaos. And then he couldn't do it.
Yeah, I like that they called that play before he did it.
Yeah.
It's like, but they didn't plan on him being able to listen in, swipe a walkie-talkie and an earpiece. It's like, well, gotta keep him guessing. It was like, well, this next maneuver we call the old grease trap technique, or AKA bubble, bubble, oil, and trouble. I did have to make some notes like that to make that part of the movie enjoyable as much as I could. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, the men's restroom when he goes in there was so packed while the actual headlining performance was going on. But I was like, it's just a lot of dads who got dragged along, huh?
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
It's like, that's exactly what that was. All the dads needed a place to retreat.
And then there's a random woman in there washing her hands, and you figure out that's him seeing visions of his mother.
Yeah, before I found out that was his mom, I was just like, oh, is this the ghost of crimes past? Is that what she is to him?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he did kill her. We never really know.
Yeah.
I only remember seeing her twice at the stadium.
Yeah.
Once was there, and once was when the poor girl who got burned.
Yeah.
She was beside that. Other than that, I didn't see her again.
Till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, while he's in the restroom, why does he have the sound on his phone while checking his hostage? Like, I'm listening to the sounds of this guy like panicking in there, and it's like, either somebody's going to hear that, and it's like, there's no good way. It's like, are you watching a video of a person chained up in a basement? No, it's just porn. I don't know. Like,
you know what? That was in there just for you, Pake. Just for you to have something to say.
So he talked about the weird, awkward conversation with Jamie, talked about the weird, inconspicuous delivery lines with Jody's mom, talked about when the ramp area, and this is just a nitpick because at this point I was like, why not?
You nitpick a lot. So.
Again, going to concerts like this, like that entire aisle area would have been roped off before this Parker guy ascended from the floor, because that's the last thing that venue wants, is to deal with some random person trying to walk out in the aisle and falling down a trap door. Like, they would have roped that off like a good 5 minutes before that part was planned to happen in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I do agree with that.
But yeah, as soon as the floor opened, I knew, I was like, he's going to start looking at that as an exit strategy and trying to figure out how do we do that. But I didn't expect his attempt at that to just literally look at his dog and go, hey, let's go in the hole. That'll be cool.
Well, it was kind of like MacGyver. He was taking parts and pieces of different things and trying to make things work. I feel like he could have heard everything he needed to hear from where he was, and instead he came in and bustled through all of the people to get a coffee that he threw away.
He walks into a whole group of SWAT having a meeting about getting him alone and away from people in a secluded back area of the stadium, away from people. Because, an employee of the stadium would just be getting a cup of coffee, wearing plain clothes during an event in a room that they have let the authorities commandeer for a major operation. Nothing out of the ordinary or questionable about that at all.
I mean, he did offer them donuts.
Yeah, so that would have cleared up everything.
And his personal stash of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
No.
So obviously they had no reason to be concerned at all about that guy.
Oh, boy.
Because then he didn't even have the shirt that he grabbed for her. I don't know. I was like, did he even bring it back? He stole somebody's slap bracelet. But then later when she goes backstage for the dreamer girl thing, she has the shirt with her. So
yeah.
Okay, she got it somehow. Yeah. Let's see. I've talked about a lot of these, just weird. Cooper talking to Lady Raven's uncle, which is weird. He's like, that's my niece. And I was like, no, that's your daughter. M. Night, are you okay? No. Because, that was played by her actual dad.
Yes.
That was M. Night Shyamalan making one of his regular director cameos he loves to do. He just got to pop up in his movies somewhere. I think this might be one of the bigger roles he's played in a movie as far as the most screen time. It's usually a quick little scene or pop-up cameo.
Yeah.
He showed up a couple times to take them backstage and then talk to them about this and then let them through security and do.
Yeah.
It's
he was just a voice on a phone in The Happening.
Yeah. But yeah, Cooper goes over to him and just tells him some bullshit to get him and Riley backstage to be chosen.
He tells a lie that never ends up coming back to bite him.
I know. I keep waiting. It's just for somebody to slip and be like, you're so brave with what you dealt with. And she's like, what are you talking about?
I mean, the poor girl. Well, you know what she dealt with? Bad friends. Mm-hmm. That's what she dealt with. Because judging by the friend and her mother who are over freaking out, basically, she freaks out because Riley is on stage dancing.
How did she get to get picked and not me? It's all your fault, Mommy.
Yeah, I'm like, no, Riley doesn't need you as a friend. You're awful.
Yeah, I have Riley as a character on here, but I literally only have one note for her in my entire notes. And it's literally, Riley got to go on stage and dance with her hero, so suck it, Jody and Jody's mom.
Yes.
That's the only note I have.
I feel like Lady Raven gave Riley this amazing experience where she met her, they went in a limo, she went to her house, and did all of these things, knowing that her dad was probably going to be taken down, and it was going to be a real shitty ending of the day.
Yeah. Why did they leave the arena in the first place? She literally has a second show in a few hours.
Yeah. I know.
Why would she be leaving?
He wanted her to drop him off at the corner and they would take the car home, but she wanted to know where he lives. Mm-hmm. I'm like, couldn't you have figured out who he was based on the cameras? Mm-hmm. I mean, there must have been a way. He was out running around the concourse all day.
There's moments where he's standing in the hallway staring at a camera. I think you've got him on there at some point.
I think maybe she felt responsible for Spencer because she actually saw him on his phone. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe she felt some sense of responsibility because at one point near the end, or at the end, she went...
Yeah, the last time we see her is her actually going to that location and meeting with Spencer and the girl and her family that
saved him. Yeah. And I thought that was really sweet, that she went to do that.
Yeah. With Cooper. Let's see. Okay, it was kind of weird, the random girls that looked injured or sick that were being taken backstage. I was like, why do they keep dragging these drunk, drugged teenage girls behind the stage? I was like, what is happening? And I was like, I guess they're just sick or they're just dehydrated and passing out.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't think, is the medic area ever right there behind the stage? It's
no.
plenty of stadium stuff. I've had to go to medical rooms in stadiums a couple of times for different reasons.
Did you get beat up in the mosh pit again?
No. No. But it's like, that's a separate room elsewhere in the building, away from everybody else. That wouldn't be like in a tent behind the stage. I don't know. It's like, who put on, like, who's producing this show and, like, planning things? Because they suck. Because they're going to have people, why, the medic tent, you have a first aid room with, like, EMS on staff with the venue. Why are you not roping off the aisle? Somebody's going to fall in the ladder hole. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I have seen teenage girls get pulled from a crowd before for passing out. Mm-hmm. Like, they get to the barrier, and sometimes they get overcome by the fact that... It's not just dehydration, it's the fact that their feet from someone they idolize, and it hits them, and they're just, like, starstruck, and they pass out from the overwhelm of it. But I've never known them to be taken behind the stage.
Then you take them back out to the concourse, and then there's like a suite in the stadium. Yeah. It's like a first aid EMS
a recovery place.
There's there's
it was kind of like it was convenient. It was really convenient for him to be able to pick up that girl and get out of the way of, the profiler.
Yeah. And they're standing backstage watching, and then there's this moment where it doesn't really come. I guess that's the moment when he's telling Lady Raven later. He's like, and I got the urge, like talking about like she needed to be his next victim, but like it was this weird moment where she pulls out like an inhaler, and I was like, why did they focus on that? It's like, and then I'm thinking in his head, he's like, she has asthma. How do I use that to escape?
No.
There's got to be a way for me to use her asthma to get out of here.
That was you coming up with a ridiculous idea.
Well, he already tried let's go in there. That looks cool. So who knows what he's going to try next.
Rappelling maybe from the ceiling to the outside. I mean, he just wanted to get outside, and he couldn't. Mm-hmm. And he thought, well, if I go backstage, they're letting backstage people leave. And then it's like he was going down a chute, basically. Mm-hmm. He thought if I go backstage, then I'll be able to get out. But then
when this is over, we can just go to our car in the back, right? We sneak out the back.
Yes.
Where nobody can see us.
Yes. And then that wasn't true, so he had to get even more, like he was getting funneled into having no choices left. But he always came up with something.
Yeah, he was left with that desperation move of revealing to Raven that he's the butcher, and then tells her, like, get me and Riley out of here unscathed, or I'm going to kill the guy that I've currently got locked up. And I was like, that is, I guess, a tough decision. It was a very trolley problem. In a way, like in her mind, because I'm like, well, you guarantee that this guy dies, but then you save the future would-be victims. Or you save this guy if you believe a serial killer is going to let him free.
Yeah.
And then you let him go on to possibly continue killing. But then also, it's like, well, of course, afterwards you just say, oh, you remember Riley's dad? And like everybody who works at the stadium go, oh yeah, that guy. Well, you know exactly who you're talking about because he's been wandering around backstage talking to everybody all day long. Then it's like immediately, then you're like, okay, well then we put it on the news. Like, here's the name of his daughter. Here's his name. Like, here's his, because he was staring at a camera for a while for some reason. We have footage of him. Here's the guy.
But even like the shots of him when he's talking to Jamie, it's
just walking up to people. It's like, hi, I'm Cooper.
No.
You don't have to introduce yourself to every single person who works here, but I'm gonna.
He's standing there, and just his facial expressions were over the top, and
Yeah.
They were, but you don't have to completely shred it. There are some things that were good-ish.
Yeah. But so I was like trying to see where I would land on that if I was in that situation. I'm like, I guess logically, I think you let him out, and then you immediately just tell people, like, yeah, that guy, after he's gone. But it's like, but that's if you trust him to not hurt you, which I also wouldn't. So
no, I wouldn't.
It's a tricky situation.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, you just don't know what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I found fascinating is this movie did not have a single death.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
That's true.
There wasn't even any blood anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So odd. Like, that isn't what... I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Not a single death.
Mm-hmm. Unless we count... he somehow got SWAT uniform on when he hijacked the limo. He just did some kind of magic quick change into that. I don't know how that happened.
He climbed through... he climbed through the tunnel that was under his house.
Mm-hmm. And then did a quick change performance into a SWAT uniform that he just had.
And I knew when he got into the car that it was him.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh my God.
Whenever somebody comes and goes, hey, I'm going to drive now, and then her personal driver gets out and some other person gets in, I was like, that's it. Like, before the reveal, I was like, and Cooper just got in the car. I was like, that's not... Yeah, I saw that coming a mile away.
I'm like, how is this... Yeah, how is this happening?
And one thing that was kind of bothering me, we finally got the answer, because there was a point where I was like, they set this up as like, how did they know he was going to be at the concert? Like, that seems like a really weird, specific piece of information to have about him.
Yeah.
And it's like, do they know who he is? Then why do this? Just go to his house and arrest him. But
they didn't know who he was.
But they didn't know. And then so when they're in the limo heading to the house, and I was like, I guess we're just not going to know how they knew he'd be at the concert. But then Raven, of all people, is the one that drops that information. It's like, well, he's got like these locations that he uses to some degree. And it's like, and they found a part of a receipt for the tickets that he bought for the concert at that house. And so I'm like, such a weird way for them to get to the premise of this movie, but sure, fine. I guess we'll go with it. Also, why does Raven know all of this information?
I don't know. I feel like there's more in her backstory than what we got.
I know, because it's like, what? How does she know all of this stuff? Because she's like, and then the profiler said this about she knows about the car and the hideout and like personnel. And I was like, and the profiler gave you all this super highly specific, important,
confidential
information to the case. Weird. Like, why? Why did she tell you all of this super sensitive information? That's probably... She should get fired for that. I don't know why she would do that.
Yeah, they don't usually reveal that to the public.
I know. It's like they let the people involved with the concert know what was going on, but it's like, also, since you're the performer, we're going to let you know every single thing about this case for the past 7 years. So let's take out a notepad. Come on, Raven. All right. You need to know everything about this person that hopefully you'll never interact with.
Well, and the code word that they had... to get around. It's like, why are you giving out the code word to anyone? Like, I don't think arena staff would do that. I mean, Jamie was super friendly. He was super friendly.
He was too friendly. He talked way too much.
He gave away too much information.
I'm not supposed to tell you this little thing, so I'm going to tell you it plus like 4 other things that are way more important that you didn't ask for.
Yeah. And I'm just like, why? That whole conversation started because of a t-shirt incident.
Mm-hmm.
Because Riley wanted a t-shirt. Well, she actually said she wanted it before the other girl said. I don't care how long she was waiting.
Like, well, then you should have said something, Stephen.
Yeah. I don't care that she was waiting. She didn't say that she wanted it until after Riley did. And I think Riley should have gotten it. And I did worry that Cooper was going to use the box cutter on Jamie downstairs. The fact that he didn't was a surprise. I'm like, huh. Okay.
Yeah, but... So we find out that stuff from Raven after they go back to the house. And then, like, some of like that, I'm skipping over some stuff because it's like, you know, I talk about her specifically, Lady Raven. But yeah, through that, I mean, Spencer gets rescued, and then, Cooper's pissed, obviously, and then immediately takes her as a hostage, goes and gets his bug-out bag from the garage. They're gonna head out. Except we see, like, he's not willing to hurt his own family. Well, except for the end where he's totally about to murder Rachel. But I guess he's not going to hurt his kids. That's
no,
like
he
a
loves
line
his
he'll
kids.
never cross.
And he was angry at Rachel. And there's one thing at the end. The whole thing that he said to her at the end, I feel such rage toward you, Rachel. I've never felt this before. It's different. This is pure anger. It's so unfamiliar. It's like it's eating me from the inside. I feel out of control. It's why it's why I'm angry. That's amazing. It's because I won't see Riley and Logan again. Because of you, I don't get to see them grow up, and that's overwhelming me. And that's when he basically reveals that he's planning a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
To take out both her and him. And I'm thinking, so you're gonna kill yourself and take out your wife so the kids have no parents.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you're so upset because you'll never see your kids again because of your actions.
Yeah.
So that, like, because you love them so much, you're gonna also kill their mother so then they're orphaned and have... like, that's... Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Logic. We'll go with that. But yeah, at the moment, at least, when he's going to take off with Raven in his wife's car, he opened the garage door and Rachel and the kids are standing out there. And that's in that just moment of, like, there's probably not very many moments where he can't act, but he's literally, legitimately frozen in inaction in that moment because it's like wires have crossed in his brain, whereas, like, these two parts of my life don't mix, and now they have, and I'm short-circuiting and I don't know what to do, so I'm just gonna stand here slack-jawed and rebooting.
Because he keeps everything separate. Like, he that was his whole code, basically. If you want to talk about, like, a Dexter code, his code was he kept everything separate. They don't mix. They're two separate things.
Yeah, but that gives Raven that moment to kind of just go to them and get to safety, or at least she thinks. And then the laws surrounding the place. But yeah, he somehow, he quick changes into a SWAT uniform and goes through a tunnel.
You think he's like Superman, maybe? I didn't see a phone booth, but those don't really exist that much anymore anyway. Yeah,
and then I guess the driver who had just drove him all the way there didn't recognize him when he stepped up and went, "Hey, could you get out of the limo?" Yeah, sure.
Well, maybe he had a mask on. I don't know. I think he did. I don't know. Because then he took it off when he got in the back with her, so I think he did have a mask on.
Yeah. He didn't recognize his voice. Oh, hello! Could you get out of the car for me? Yeah, either way, the whole maneuver was just stealth roll and deception roll, both nat 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it. But then, really, the next time we see it, because he gets that, he drives off with the limo, and then doesn't make it very far, because then for the second time we see Raven using her fame to help her out, where the limo gets surrounded by people at a stoplight, and then he can't go anywhere, so she's able to escape, and the SWAT team and the FBI pull up again. And it's like, well, is he in there? And I was like, oh no, there's a secret tunnel in the limo, and it led to the next street, and he quick changed into a Subaru, and now he's kidnapped the mayor's dog.
No. But somehow he got out of the limo and...
Tunnels. He had a tunnel in the limo.
Left the SWAT gear there and was able to get out.
Yeah, because he changed into... Because there were some Lady Raven shirts in the seat. So he had merchandise. Lady Raven shirt, Lady Raven jacket, Lady Raven pants. The things you normally sell at a concert. Lady Raven socks and shoes.
One thing that surprised me, they shot the tires out of that limo with people standing around.
Yeah, no, the whole surrounding it with that many armed guards, like I've been to a lot of these concerts. If I saw one armed guard anywhere on the premises, I'd be like, that's a red flag. Something's wrong. I'm going home. I don't know why people are there.
Yeah.
It was not well thought out, and they put way too many innocent people at risk for this whole operation at every step. And secret tunnels in houses, secret tunnels in limos.
I mean, there might have been a secret tunnel at the venue, but we don't know because they didn't go down in that hole to find out.
It looked really cool. So, but yeah, he goes back to the house to interact and confront Rachel, and has that. And actually, I enjoyed that scene a lot. I was like, Josh Hartnett's playing creepy really, really well there. Unlike whatever the fuck that was at the concert. Now he's actually being creepy and intense. Like,
yeah. I mean, he had a meat cleaver.
Yeah.
And she planned it well. He started to unravel because he left his bag in the car, which he wouldn't do if his two worlds hadn't connected. And she went and got it, and got the powder and drugged him. And the look on his face when he realized that he had been drugged.
Yeah. It was an interesting, again, there's the Shyamalan, like, twisties. What a twist! That he loves to do, because I was going back and forth with that scene, because I was like, even before he shows up, she's like, we can take you to your sisters, or where your kids are at, and you can go be with your kids, and she's like, no, I want to be alone, I don't want to be around people. I'm like, so you're not going to be with your kids in this rough time because you don't want to be around people? Really?
I think she knew that he was.
Oh no! We learned that was the plan. It was a setup. She knew he was going to come back.
Yep.
But then I have the note because I was like, "That's the twist, isn't it?" I was like, Rachel is a partner in crime to Cooper.
I wondered about that.
I was like, because there's 20 minutes left in this movie, and I'm going to maybe predict that one, that he almost got caught, but now he's out free, and he'll go back to her, and then they'll replan, and she's been in on it the whole time, and they're actually killers together. And I was like, ooh, that's what. And then I was like, or nope, not that at all. Less crazy than that. I was like, but she figured out who he was, or at least had strong enough suspicions that she's what led to the sting operation at the concert. But then I was like, so she's just an idiot for choosing to stay home alone and not go into protection with her kids. But then the next little layer of that, I was like, or she knew he would come back for her, and it was all part of the plan. That's why.
Yep, that was
Grant
the trap.
And the officers were waiting outside. And I was like, that's the final twist.
Yeah, that's the trap. That was the actual trap.
Yeah.
It wasn't the concert. The trap was what she laid at home for him when he came back.
Yeah. I assumed the teapot going off for an extended period of time was the signal for the officers to come in. I was like, that makes sense. Like, drugging him, which was just a lucky break, I guess.
Yeah.
Because what if it's like their whole plan would have just gone is like, let's have one more piece of pie. It's like, should have been able to see through that pretty easily, but he's like, okay, I like pie. Because like, it would have ended very differently. She's like, well, before you murder me in cold blood in our kitchen, let's have one more piece of pie together. And he's like, nah, slice. Would have gone very differently.
Why did he take his shirt off? Can you tell me that?
To not get blood on it? I don't know.
I mean, and he folded it so nicely.
I only eat pie shirtless. It's a weird thing about me, but she knows this by now.
Yeah, no.
You wear a shirt when you eat pie? What a weirdo. No.
I've always worn a shirt when I eat pie. I don't know why you need to do that. I don't know what that was about. That was just a question. I think maybe it was to show his another layer of his character, which is he's always wanting everything to be neat and clean. Like, at one point he went back in the house and swept something up and threw it away. And it goes to the profile of wanting everything to be neat and orderly, and a darker car is easier to keep clean. It goes into his mental state. Again, I'm pointing out things that make sense in a movie that maybe isn't the most sensical movie, I guess.
It's very disjointed. The first half was a fucking nightmare for me to get through. But honestly, like, from like the point when they're at the house and like things really do amp up at that, like, it did switch to where I was like, You know, it was like, by the end, it was a decently entertaining movie with a unique plot. It's like, it was a messy, rough journey to get there with so many problems, but we got there, and it could have been worse in the end. Like,
could it?
Yeah, it could have. There have been worse. But yeah, so we kind of see how things end for him with them finally taking him down and taking him. Why would the kids be allowed to see him and interact with him one more time before taking away? That seems, even though we know he would never hurt them, for the SWAT team to just be like, yes, child, go ahead and just go hug this serial killer who we've got under arrest.
Why would
because we totally have no reason to think that he would ever leverage your life to try to do something in this moment.
Why would he be allowed to stand his daughter's bicycle up? Like, that seemed completely ridiculous to me.
Because we see that he had a plan for that, to free himself from the handcuffs using what he did there. It's like, he was still locked in the back of a SWAT van. They couldn't come up with a way to bullshit him out of that situation, so then they just ended the movie. But
and he just laughed. Like, he was laughing, like, insanely,
of course,
basically.
They locked him up and they started driving away, and I said, check the SWAT van for tunnels!
Of course she did.
Mm-hmm. He's probably got a secret tunnel in there. Watch out.
Uh-huh. You think there's a secret tunnel everywhere.
I will now. Also, I think this is the time, Daphne, for me to let you know that this whole movie was actually a setup. We knew that you would come here to talk about it on this podcast, so we got you.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to suggest another Shyamalan movie.
I don't know. This is kind of fun.
That I want to cover.
13 more. Or 14 more.
There's one more that I want to cover, but I don't know if I want to. Because it's one that I really like, and I'm afraid that you're going to destroy it. And I think I need to keep it in a sacred place.
Mm-hmm.
It's been suggested for us to cover it, but no, I don't know that I want to.
So I've seen a handful of his stuff. I really liked The Village. It's been a very long time, and I wonder if it holds up if I was to watch it again now.
It probably won't.
But then, like, Devil was... I barely remember much about it, but I did see it.
Uh-huh.
I liked... I mean, the whole Unbreakable, Split, Glass, those were great.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
Uh-huh. Well, we'll see. And then the other movie that he did where it wasn't like a weird horror movie with a twist, but he decided to try to do a live action reenactment of a cartoon. You know what? No, that one doesn't exist. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. But yeah, I think that's about all I have for him. Also in the credits, there's a song called Liar that is Salika Shyamalan as Lady Raven. All of her songs, 14 songs in the soundtrack are her. And the song Liar that's playing over the credits keeps having the line, run for your lives. And it was like, they knew that they were making that movie just for us to cover. So that's really nice of them.
Isn't that nice? I thought you might think that.
But yeah, that's all I've got for old Coop.
Old Coop. Is that what you're calling him now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So who's next?
The least inconspicuous man on the planet. I said Riley would have been next, but I had the literal one note. Rachel I had, but I've already talked about all of her stuff. Had a couple of notes about the FBI stuff, which was mainly just me complaining about what is this plan. Also pulling aside and questioning every single adult male in attendance. That seems very illegal, but okay. Random notes before I get to the last character was Jamie, which I said it talks too much, too trusting, but the mid-credit scene with him realizing that he was really funny. And then also freaking Kid Cudi is in this movie for some reason.
He and Josh Hartnett are really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
When Kid Cudi was just coming up, like starting out, Josh Hartnett went to one of his concerts. And the guy, he just spoke to him after, and he's just like, yeah, I'm new to the area, blah, 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 and they just became friends.
That's cool. I love Kid Cudi. And so seeing him, he was the Thinker, which was like, sure, that's a terrible artist name, but
yeah,
when he's such a diva, he's just like a douchebag and an asshole to everybody backstage. And then he has this weird, like lingering, like flirty look with Cooper. And then I'm like, is he going to come back and be important to this movie? No, he literally no reason for him to be here. But
no, but he was there.
But okay, but he was. It was like it was like when I first saw him, I was like, hey, Kid Cudi. But then yeah, don't know what was there supposed to be more to his character that they just cut or didn't do. I don't know, but it was an interesting cameo. But yeah, so really the last character I've talked a little bit about is Lady Raven, which as soon as the movie started, I kind of knew that, like who she was and like the role she played in the movie. I was like, wait a minute. Is this entire movie just a ploy for M. Night Shyamalan to get his daughter's music career kicked off?
No, she had an album out before this.
It's like, wait.
No, she had a whole album out before this.
Mm-hmm.
This was his opportunity to work with his daughter, and you can't shit on that.
No, it's cool.
They had a lot of fun putting it together.
Yeah, but her character, again, it's just like, I enjoyed her character, enjoyed a lot of the music, but there was some just like weird stuff that I'm like, should have been explained better or done. Like, I was like, why is she leaving? She's got another show. I mean, yeah, she was like practically forced at gunpoint, not really, but figuratively in order to do it. So like, yeah. I was like, but then going to the house was her idea, and I was like, what is she even playing at? Like, what is she attempting to do? And then again, the profiler gave her way more information than is ever necessary. I'm like, why does she know all of these things?
Well, because she's acting out to be his mother in the car.
What was that? It's like, what, she's using these psychological tactics on him, and it's like, she shouldn't even know any of this stuff about his case to know that would affect him personally. It's like, why does she know these things?
Because this is an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
That is a great excuse for, like, honestly, that tracks. Like, yep, that's a good reason. I'll take that.
You should.
When I say M. Night Shyamalan, I literally need to just, like, there needs to be a M. Night Shyamalan switch in my brain.
Yes.
That it's just like, turn off brain, don't overthink, don't question, because it's not gonna make sense.
No,
so just
it
roll
isn't.
with it. Yeah.
So just let it go.
So
let it be what it is.
Turn on the Shyamalan switch and...
Yes, the Shyamalan switch.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Isn't it? Just do it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Put it on. Watch the movie.
Of course, then I don't know if I'd have any notes about the movie at all, because then it'd be like, we'd start to talk about the movie, and I'd be like, I literally don't have any notes because I turned on my Shyamalan switch. So then I just stared at the screen and watched it, and I didn't actually do anything else.
Why do I feel like that should be an episode title for Buffalo Buffalo?
Turn on the Shyamalan
I don't
switch.
have any notes because I turned on the Shyamalan switch.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, but she was interesting. The move of her taking his phone, which was like, man, things are about to go haywire from there. It's hard to play off, but I guess it's no holds barred at that point. Like, she's in it. I like that kind of moment of her like going live online. It's like using the power of fame and social media to actually
do something good
and help Spencer. I was like, that's pretty dope. But then she's in like a real tense situation. I was like, I'm actually enthralled right now. Good job, movie. You've helped the weird slog that the first half of the movie was worth something. I was like, this is... I actually am nervous for her, and I want to know what happens next.
Maybe they made a mistake when they... Maybe they shouldn't have revealed that he was the serial killer.
Yeah.
Maybe if they hadn't, revealed that in the trailer, maybe if they had kept that a secret... And then
we're not even revealed it in the first 10 minutes, 5 minutes of the movie, right. Whatever it was.
Kept it completely on the down low.
Where it's like, if they could have found a way to write this to where he's nervous because there's a police, where you think, oh, he finds out what's going on somehow, and don't make it the weirdest, most awkward dialogue humanly imaginable. Don't ham fist it so badly. And then, like, have him, like, make it to where we think, oh, he's nervous for his daughter's safety because there's a serial killer loose in the building. And then have this big twist being like, oh my God, and it was him the whole time. So yeah, I think revealing that super early on, and then you just know, and then it's him trying to come up with the most ridiculous ways of escaping that don't make sense. Like,
I think that would have been a better idea. I get what they were trying to do. They wanted you to see it from his point of view. They wanted it to be about us seeing it through the lens of the serial killer. However, I think not revealing it would have been a better way of doing it, because then there's multiple twists and people wouldn't have expected it.
Yeah.
And that could have been, really better for the movie, because at one point, in an interview that he did, he mentioned that the concept and pitch was basically, what if the Silence of the Lambs happened at a Taylor Swift concert?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, we know who the killer is. Yeah, I guess, but that was much more gritty, okay?
Yeah.
But, in watching it all, I really think that would have been a better way to go.
Yeah.
It would have been more surprising, and you would have just gotten this loving father that we got to see throughout the first, maybe hour of the movie. You're thinking this one thing, and then it's all flipped on its head.
Yeah.
Because
kudos to them for trying something different, I guess. But yeah, like, maybe just the more expected way of doing it would have been better. Because even, like, when I first saw the trailer in theaters, and they reveal at the end of the trailer, and he's the killer, and it's like, well, then what are they going to shock us with in the movie? Because that seems like the biggest twist and reveal right there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
Yeah, I wondered that too. I guess Shyamalan was, he took the idea from Operation Flagship, which was this sting operation where they lured fugitives into a stadium because they had a fake NFL promotion where people could get free tickets and the chance to win an all expenses paid trip to the Super Bowl. And I guess some of the fugitives are really, NFL fans.
Mm-hmm.
They created they created this convention at the stadium. And they made it look like it was a legit thing, but it wasn't. The other thing that I really...
They show up and they're like, why are there only 4 people at this convention?
Yeah. One thing I really liked, though, too, and this is one of the cool things that I found out, is he really was inspired by what Prince did with Purple Rain and having the music be such a big part of the movie, and how it was the background, but it was also a character on its own in some ways in Purple Rain. And so he kind of wanted to do something similar.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, it didn't live up to Pake's expectations.
And we know that's the rubric that matters. That's like the...
Yeah. It is.
I mean, if there's any skill that anybody needs to take into importance and account, it's whether I thought it lived up to what I wanted it to be.
Yes. Sure.
If people who made movies in Hollywood and stuff would recognize that more, I think we could all have a much better life. But
true,
we're the only ones who's really figured that out at this point.
I mean, he really just wanted people to see what it was like through the eyes of a serial killer on the day that he might get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, that's not what people wanted.
I mean, it's not even that it's like, that's a bad idea. Again, I don't know. It's just the way it was done. And a lot of it was just dialogue and line delivery. I was like, what is this?
I had a feeling you were going to think about his character, at least in the beginning, as like Mark Wahlberg being Mark
Absolutely. I mean, you see what I'm saying. Those you mentioned it, like the facial expressions and the way he would deliver lines. It's like, why?
It's a Shyamalan thing.
What's happening here? I don't... A serial killer, you say? That's wild!
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't know anything about that. Wink, 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 wink.
Oh, man.
I'm just like half of a second away from him just like, Butcher? I barely know her. Wouldn't it be funny if it was me? Ha ha ha, just kidding. Like,
But really not. Oh my god. Oh man.
Hi, I'm Cooper. let me get a name tag real quick so everyone here knows who I am.
Well, because it was his separate life. It was not his killer life. I don't know. Maybe he has a different name when he's a killer. He tells him his name is Jonas or Sam or something.
Hi, I'm not Cooper.
Oh, God. I do wonder what our listeners think of this one, just because I know what they expect, and I know that some of them may watch the movie and think, oh yeah, this is going to be one that Pake rips to pieces, or I can't wait to hear what he says about this, because it's a Shyamalan movie. It's the Shyamalan switch that you have to turn on, basically.
Yeah, which, I don't know. I'm down with covering more of his movies, but I don't know. Maybe I don't want to turn on the Shyamalan switch, because I had a good time with this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was fun for you or for the movie, but it was fun for me.
The one movie that I want to cover is Signs.
Oh, I love Signs. Again, it's been a very long time since I've seen it, but I remember really enjoying it when I saw it when I was a kid.
I just don't want you to destroy it.
I probably wouldn't. That was an earlier work of Shyamalan's before he went off the deep end. Yeah.
It was much creepier then.
Mm-hmm.
He's not been as creepy. I think part of it is the camp has creeped in, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other notes that you want to share? Neither do I. I feel like we did this. We finished it. We survived.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we did it. You can piece things together. I don't know, however.
Magically. It's magic.
Mm-hmm. And there goes the feedback phone. So yeah, I'm curious to see what people have to say about this one. All right, we do have a little bit of feedback this week for this one. Should be fun. Of course, first bit about last week, because we didn't have any like official feedback call for the outtakes episode. It was a little bit of fun, but we got a little bit of feedback anyway, and I'm going to let Daphne do it.
Yes, well, we did get that feedback from Alma. She says, I was cracking up on this episode. Y'all really do make the podcast seem effortless. Nice to know y'all get tongue-tied just like me. I really cracked up when I heard my name as part of a super fast feedback part, LOL. Almost said some shit. LMAO, yes. That was fun. Yeah. Recording the feedback was great because any mistakes we made, I could just leave in. It was all part of the fun of that episode.
Yes. And then to get to this movie this week, to Trap. I'm so glad that Alma was so appreciative of the podcast, because we have to make good immediately off of this next feedback. We're recording to Trap, Alma says. I watched this when it first came to the theater, and I really liked it. I'm also a big M. Night Shyamalan fan, so I was really looking forward to this movie. At first, I was a bit lost as to how the FBI would get insider info as to the serial killer attending this concert. You just gotta be patient, because all gets revealed along with some crazy twists. All in all, I thought the movie was intense. I loved how Josh Hartnett played the innocent villain. Oh snap, I almost forgot to mention how cool it was to see Haley Mills as the FBI agent. Well, I hope you guys liked this flick, and I'll tune in to hear y'all's thoughts. So again, I'm so glad you had some happy, positive things to say. in that first feedback, keep that energy.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some things that we liked. There were some things that were a bit ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And we commented on all of that.
Yes.
So, we're going to keep it real. We're going to tell you what we think. And sometimes it doesn't line up with what our listeners think. But I like to think that it's part of the fun, getting to hear different opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So this next one is from Sam. How does M. Night Shyamalan keep coming up with these great ideas, casting talented people, and then just completely drop the ball? Every single time. It's starting to feel like he needs to get rid of the yes people in his life and bring on someone who will be honest. Maybe I'm just missing something. Probably I am. I get the campy. It's so freaking creative and well done for a really meh second half execution. I'm a big fan of The Sixth Sense, Signs, and Unbreakable, so I keep giving him chances. His newer movies aren't bad, they're just not good either. Like ham and cheese sandwiches, they're fine, and some people are gonna love ham and cheese sandwiches. I prefer the cheeseburgers of yore. Looking forward to the pod. You guys always make me have a more positive view on the movies. I'm going to go eat dinner now.
Cheeseburger?
Oh.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I think that's kind of at least me, I can speak for myself over this episode, I think shared a lot of the same sentiment of like, it's a great premise, and the cast is usually pretty interesting and good, and then like, where does that great premise go? It gets lost in the shuffle of a lot of just like insanity. But yeah, no, I like her ham and cheese because there's a lot of cheese. Yeah, no, I like that analogy because like for some people, Alma, it's exactly what you're looking for, and that's great. Like, but maybe there's just like, because of earlier movies, like what she mentioned, Unbreakable, Signs, Sixth Sense, that like you've come to expect maybe a little bit more heft, a little bit more substance, and then you're just getting ham and cheese, and you're like, where? But I know what you can make, so why are you just
Where's my cheeseburger?
Yeah, it's like, I know what you're capable of making, so why are you serving me this now? I get that. I really like that. Thanks, Sam. And then Catherine also writes in, says, Trap would have been an excellent Criminal Minds episode. Not a nearly 2-hour movie/concert. I think Josh Hartnett was channeling Mark Wahlberg, or maybe it was just the same camera style. It wasn't bad, but not one of my favorites of M. Night Shyamalan's work. And then a photo included of the Mark Wahlberg what moment. So yeah,
I thought you would like
yes.
that. I knew I had to include it. It's actually
it's probably a GIF. Yeah,
file. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, Catherine, and as you've listened to this episode now, as we're reading, it's great minds, right? Because I probably made that Wahlberg connection and joke way too many times through this episode. So yeah.
Thanks, guys, for the feedback. If you would like to submit feedback like Alma, Sam, or Catherine, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast. You can email us at runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. And if you are enjoying the show, tell your friends. We're available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need. And give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
We do indeed. Appreciate it a lot. Of course, speaking about sharing the love, got to give those shout outs to things going on in the Podcastica universe around us. Over on Strange Indeed, Rima has been joining up with Wendy and Greg and others and cycling in and out and covering Great British Bake Off, Great British Baking Show, whatever it is to you. Over there, continuing through that season, been crushing that. Always fun coverage over there. So you can always go check that out. And then on the cast of us, Daryl Dixon, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, all of the subtitles. Has been going on, and it's been really fun, really interesting as a Walking Dead fan. I've been enjoying this season. So yeah, you can check out their coverage of the newest episode there. Dina was joining Jason this week over on that. It was really great listen, great episode. So you can definitely go check that out. Then over on the Marvel TV cast, Kara is joining Jim and Penny talking about Agatha all along. With you can go check out their episode 5 coverage right now, Darkest Hour, Wake Thy Power, which fun episode, great stuff. But then also stay tuned for over this next week, because if you're listening to this on the day we release this, they have recorded or are recording episode 6 today. So that'll be out soon. Stay tuned to that one, because I even put in some feedback for that one, because holy crap, what an episode. I'm not giving anything away, but Agatha, just like Marvel fans, such a good episode. Absolutely did so much for me for this show. So good. So I'm excited to listen to them break that one down. It's going to be a blast. Also, the cast of The Rings, Edwin and Penny. Again, Penny's working hard, doing all the things.
She is. She's really busy.
With The Rings of Power over on Amazon Prime. They have their season finale, season 2, episode 8, up now. You can go check out them finish up their coverage of the show as it sits right now, as they're caught up with it. So you definitely go check that out. Lots of great lore, especially Anwen. She is a citizen of Middle Earth, so
she is. Who better to talk about it?
She knows all the things, so it's great. Definitely go check that out. Also, again, I say it every time I bring up From. If you're not watching From, get with the freaking program. Watch it. It's an incredible show over on MGM Plus. And then on the What Is From podcast, Alex and Lizzie have been killing it over there, covering that, doing great immediate reaction over on YouTube right after the episodes air, instant reaction videos that have been really cool, bringing in different podcasters and fans and even cast members of the show itself onto those instant reaction videos. It's so cool. So definitely give them some love. Watch From, listen to What Is From. And then the newest Podcastica venture, our friend David here on Podcastica, breaking out of the norm of TV shows, movies, and pop culture, and doing some sports over on Sportscastica. Brand new podcast by David, joined by friends Paul and Greg. And they're just talking about some of the, not really sports scores and things that everybody talks about, but they really want to dig into some of the things that are going on in sports that people don't talk about as much, or people don't really dive as deep into. Like this week's episode, you can go check out Scheme Work Makes the Dream Work, and it's just all about football offensive strategies. Talking about, they getting into more deeper conversations about some of the inner workings and unique and interesting sports conversations that you don't hear on a lot of just kind of surface level sports podcasts. So definitely something to check out as a sports fan. And then lastly, outside of Podcastica, always giving love to our good friends at TV Podcast Industries, working on all the good nerdy shows all the time. Also covering Agatha all along over there, plus The Penguin. So they're doing a little Marvel DC combination back and forth this right now with 2 shows. So yeah, definitely check out their coverage of those shows as well. Lots of great podcast stuff for you to check out. And if you want just another little extra flavor of something different, you can always hear me and Daphne along with our friends Jeff and Jerry every week over on Buffalo. We get together, just talk, make each other laugh, play some fun games, pick on each other. It's a good time.
I was waiting for you to say, pick on each other, mostly Daphne, because that's more true.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun. We're having a blast with that. And we just recorded a live, well, not really live, but an in-person episode that will be out in the next few weeks. So keep an ear out for that. It'll be a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff.
It's amazing and has really fun special guests. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. It was a ton of fun to have the 4 of us in one place to be able to record together.
Yeah.
So, that's great. Looking forward to getting that one out there.
So yeah, you got a little bit of time to go check out all of those incredible shows, and then still be back here next week for a fresh, hot out the oven, brand new episode of Run for Your Lives. What are we bringing for them next week, Daphne?
Well, when a reclusive young woman confronts a terrifying alien invasion at her isolated home, her resilience and hidden past come into play in her fight for survival. We're covering the 2023 film No One Will Save You. It's directed by Brian Duffield, and it's starring Caitlin Dever.
Yeah. Little lesser-known movie that kind of pulled out of the back of my brain somewhere. It's a newer one, but it's something that I've kept my eye on, and it felt like a good time to do that. So yeah, we'll check that out.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys can check it out.
There's something really special about it that sets it apart, I think, from other films. So you're going to have to check it out to find out what makes it stand out.
Yes.
Well, that brings us to the end of another fun or hilarious episode, depending on what movie we cover. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.